All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law. With me, as usual, is my boy, Loyalist. And we got a special guest today, as you can see. Cha-ching. What up, Derek?
What up, Lawrence? How's it going, man?
I'm finally getting over that. I had a really long weekend. If anyone followed me much, had a huge, very, very long weekend covering a professional basketball team. And then I slept when I got home on Monday. And yesterday I did my Believe in Colts with DeQuell Jackson. And
I'm telling you what, guys, you've got to check it out on Lawrence's channel. I mean, all I got to know, Lawrence, is where's the suit, man? Where's the suit? You look so good in that. He's sitting there he's like, we got the football version and then the dapper basketball version. But like I said, guys, check it out. He did an amazing job. And I'll tell you right now, you talk about an awesome league and a great group of people. He got a little bit of information and stuff on all these guys. And I'll tell you right now, the commissioner is live. He's just so lit. I loved watching that guy, watching you interview him. It was just like a whole different experience because he was like, okay. And Morris was just hanging on.
I couldn't be. He was wired. I mean, it was like, he was very, very wired. But you know what? When you're a guy in that kind of position, when you bring that kind of energy, it's freaking awesome. And it brings people to you. And that's why I like bringing energy here.
Yeah.
Most of the time. This is one of those streams I think the energy should be brought because we're discussing the Indianapolis Colts moving on into a new era, well, at least defensively, from Matt Eberflus. I'd say 80% of Colts fans wanted Eberflus out, from what I was gathering, that they didn't like his soft zone, especially when you got in the leads and stuff like it. Outside of that, great. It was just that soft zone when you got in the leads, allowing teams to come back. I think we lost 4 games due to it, right? It is what it is. But he got hired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. The Indianapolis Colts go out and grab Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley, who had a 1-year stint with the Raiders. And guys, Bradley was not fired from the Raiders. They wanted to keep him. But because there was a head coaching change, that entire coaching staff gets moved. And Bradley was left out there on the open market. And it was like it was meant to be, time to come. It was the same type of scheme and players that Bradley is used to coaching and scheming with. A lot of you might say, Derek and I was talking about this earlier, how, just your casual fan would look at Gus Bradley and go, well, he runs a similar scheme to Matt Eberflus. Eberflus is just a clone of Gus Bradley, but yes and no. Right. They run a cover 2/cover 3 scheme. Right. But that doesn't mean they're the same person. Their coaching styles are completely different. Their preparation, their work, stuff like that, completely and utterly different. The one thing that is the same that I absolutely love is the fact that Gus Bradley and Matt Eberflus both huge into, effort. Right. No lows. I want you to practice as hard as you play. I want you out there moving, giving 110% on every stinking down. And that's what I like about one of the things I like about Gus Bradley. Loyalist, I'm going to move it to you. When you heard the news, did you know much about Gus Bradley, or did you have to kind of do some research? What are your thoughts on Bradley?
Okay, for me, I knew Gus Bradley more of the Legion of Boom, and when he got a lot of his PR, and then now I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to, sorry, Jaguar fans, but I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the Jaguars outside of twice a year. But you still look at that defense that team brought during his head coaching stint, and Saxonville and all that. I mean, I hear these things, I see these things, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. But as I got digging into it and stuff, to your point, I mean, can you imagine what Gus Bradley's situation is? He's used to walking in and having to create that culture of hustle and no loafing and stuff. He's walking into an already made situation that's, got the culture already in place. So to your point on that, I mean, it seems like a really level-headed dude, really connects well with his players, things that we're all very commonly familiar with Eberflus, so I don't see a big transition for the players as far as that goes. So yeah, like I said, my initial thought was, man, if he can turn some of these D lines into, Max Crosby or Joey Bosa or Ngakoue or Melvin Ingram, hey, I'm down for it because I've been dying to see some rush.
Derek, what were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, just like I told you guys right off the bat, I didn't know a ton about Gus Bradley. I obviously looked back at his coaching history and I saw, I remembered him from a lot of different places. And, it seems like he's been around a while, and it seemed like, everywhere that he went to, those defenses tended to, have some good moments, which is what you want to see from that. Again, like Loyalist said, I don't look too much into the Jaguar years because, it's the Jaguars. Gus Bradley was not fixing them either way. But either way, yeah, for Gus, it's going to be interesting because I really don't know, because I don't know a ton about Gus. I know some other people who really do know more about him than I do, and I've been getting some information off them. As I was telling you guys from before, I liked what he was saying about, mixing schemes up for these players based off of their skill set, which I like. It means that he's open to changing things up based on what he normally is used to doing, which is nice. And like you said, Lawrence, preaching effort, I mean, it's kind of cliche that you have to mention effort a lot of times, but in the pros, a lot of times that can get lost. Sometimes people get complacent even in the pros because you think you're at that level and you think to a certain point, sometimes I don't need to go that hard even in practice. Well, with a guy like Darius Leonard on the practice field, it's almost impossible to not give 100% effort around him. He's always got that juice flowing, and Gus Bradley just adding to it. And, the big mystery to me about Gus Bradley is the defensive line, and I've heard a lot of different ways that he likes to get guys involved, and we'll see if he's able to, find different ways to get Buckner involved that we weren't able to from before, and how he mixes things up with depth and everything else going forward. I don't love the move just yet because I haven't seen enough, but I don't hate it either. I'm not like some of these other people who have been saying that. So I'm just waiting for more information to make up my mind on it.
All right. So like I said before, we started the stream when you told me specifically that, Derek, my goal is to make you love Gus Bradley by the end of this stream. All right.
All right, I'm ready.
And I want you to feel as good about this hire as I do. Now, before we get into it, or before I get into a lot of the stuff that I know about Gus Bradley, I'd like everybody to please smash that like button. It helps so much with the analytics. The more likes that are on the analytics means that tells YouTube, hey, people are actually enjoying this stream. They're going to go out there and shove it out there to other people to watch, So please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time I go live or upload a video. Oh, and by the way, we have a new sponsor. Ultra Game is the number one licensed NFL apparel seller on Amazon, period. Outside the NFL itself, obviously. But, the other places, they're number one. Excellent quality. Why don't you go check them out? What's going on, everybody? This episode is brought to you by Ultra Game. Ultra Game is officially licensed by the NFL. Ultra Game NFL is a reintroduction to the classic NFL fan gear, boasting innovative design and fabric updates for the fresh fits for today's stadium goers that appeal to everyone. And if you use the link in the description right now, you get this great Ultra Game NFL Men's Sherpa lined full fleece hoodie sweatshirt. That's right. And this a full soft fleece hoodie with Sherpa polyester lining ensures comfort and warmth in the cold weather. Length and fits as perfect as a layering piece for any physical activity. Just make sure you use the link in the description. That way you could get your Ultra Game Men's Sherpa full-lined zip fleece hoodie sweatshirt at a discounted price. Let's get back to the video. Or the live stream, whichever one, video, live stream. Joseph Thornburg says Bradley's a cover 3 guy, which scares me. And I understand where you come from that. A lot of 3 safeties out there, big situation. But here's what I want to discuss. Bradley's coming into a situation he's never been in before. Ever. The 3 times he's been defensive coordinator, he's walked into one, each time they were a bottom 5 defense in the NFL. Every time. When he walked into the Seahawks the year before he came in, they were 25th worst at points per game giving up and 30th in the NFL in yards per game given up. By the time he left, they were the 4th best team yardage-wise and the number 1 team giving up points. Like, they were the best in the NFL. They was only giving up 15.3 points a game. Wow, right? Now you go to the Chargers. He's DC at the Chargers. When he walks in there, they were 29th in the NFL at giving up points per game at 26.4. They gave up 347 yards a game. When he, at his peak, when he left, they dropped 5 full points off of that. They were only giving up 21.6 points a game, which is a heck of a lot better. And they were 6th in the NFL in yardage given up, only giving up 313 yards a game, right? So that's 2 teams that he jumped massively. Last year, he was DC, like I said, for only a year. 1 year, all right? The year before he walked in, they were 30th in the NFL in points given up at 29.9, basically 30 points a game. And 25th in the NFL in yards given up, 389 yards a game. In that year, with all the craziness that was going on, the head coach getting terminated and, wide receivers deciding to go drinking and driving and speeding and going crazy,
Yeah.
all that stuff, he still was able to shave off more than 4 points a game from the year prior and went from 25th to 14th in the NFL in giving up yards, going from 389 to 337. All right. So in a single season, he moved both those up to mid tiers, right? In just one season. Now he's walking to a team who led the league or was top second, I think, second or third.
Yeah,
second in turnovers, right? Getting turnovers. Very good against the run. They had a little bit of issue at times against the pass, especially because of, Eberflus's scheme. So he's walking into something that already has established people, already has an established scheme that he likes. I love where this is going to go because the players, like you said, Loyalist, will not have to adjust much to get into what he wants to do. And that's what I love.
Yeah, and the thing is, not just the players that don't have to big adjustment, the coaches don't. Remember how we were talking about Coach Reich likes to, let the defensive coordinator sort of run the defensive side of things. So now he's still got this coach that has all this experience as a head coach, as a defensive coordinator. So now he just sort of slides into that Eberflus having the control of the defense and stuff. And I understand he still has to manage it and keep in contact, but it's a lot less energy going in with an Eberflus than you would have had if you would have brought in one of these younger, less recognizable names and stuff at the DC position.
Exactly. Yeah, I get it. A lot of people in here talking about we need a good pass rush. And yes, you absolutely do. But a lot of that has to do with scheme and also defensive line coach, position coach play, right? He's got to be able to make those guys better, to coach them up, right? So that they could get what they need out of them. That's why the very first move that the Indianapolis Colts did was the very first move I said they should have done as soon as the season was over. Fire that defensive line coach. He did not do his job. All right. Or he was ass at doing his job. One or the other. Either way, he should not have been hired. He should not have been there. All right. So we still have yet to find out about what, his position coaches are going to be. I don't know. Derek, have you heard any rumors on the mill?
I have not heard anything when it came to that. I know that just some people have talked about Joe Cullen from before, but obviously got hired somewhere else. So, but yeah, I have not heard anything on the rise about who is going to get added to this defensive roster. Obviously, the Colts have a ton of different positions that they have to get through. But yeah, I agreed with you when you said that Brian Baker needed to be let go very quickly because, people were trying to debate it. Was it the lack of talent at the position, or was it more of the not coaching these guys up? Was it not, and then at times it felt like, and I think it might have been you, Lawrence, that brought this up. And I thought about it some more and I said, they kept saying Buckner towards the end of the year, because I think it was you. Buckner was on the field so much more this year. And towards the end of the year, and especially at the end of games, when you truly needed your best pass rusher to be available and to make those big plays, a lot of times he wasn't able to do that because he was on the field 95% of the time. So, it's kind of hard to, get these guys rest when you're doing something like that. And you hope that the next guy they bring in is going to do a better job of getting depth at that position, knowing how to use that depth, when to get certain guys into certain pass or run protections. And, I think, and if we're all right with it, I want to kind of touch on something Gus Bradley mentioned, was talking about, the LOE spot, where he was talking about who might fill that spot, and said it's more for a speed rush guy at like 250 that can do something like that. And I said, and everyone immediately said, Ben Banigou. That's it. This is the role for Ben Banigou, who in college was that guy. He's a little undersized, but he's a guy that, makes those kinds of moves. Is this the kind of situation we see him in? Now, again, I don't think that's going to happen because we've seen Ben Banigou drop off a cliff quite a bit over the last we saw the difference in Tyquan Lewis, where Tyquan Lewis was kind of in the same position 2 years ago, where they said, hey, man, like, if you want to get re-signed here, you got to start doing what you got to do. And Tyquan Lewis took that step and he started ascending into the defensive line room. Haven't quite seen that from Banigou yet, but I'm interested to see how he uses that hybrid role there, because I'm kind of wondering who would fit that description.
The perfect fit for that position, and I'm going to tell, is Kimoko Toure.
I was thinking that too.
Kimoko Toure. He's 250. Actually, I think he's 257. He doesn't look it, but he is. And he's a tall guy. He's long, thin, slender. The Leo position, the LEO position, is a very interesting concept where you set your right defensive end apart from the rest of your line. Now, whether that means you're setting him out at the 7 or 9 tech, or if you're leaving him at like the 5 and you're moving the rest of the line over so that your 3 tech is actually sitting at the 1 tech, and then on and on and on, right? Either way, you're putting that guy on an island so that he is most generally going to get one-on-one coverage against that left tackle. And what you need at that point is hardcore agility and speed to get around that guy. And that, to me, says Kimoko Toure all day long. And if you go look at his numbers, you talked about it earlier about when I was going off on why Baker needed to be fired, right? Because, certain guys were not getting the right snap percentages, right? Buckner, 95% of the snaps for the season is stupid. I don't think he should get higher than 80. Love the guy. Great talent. Needs to be fresh throughout the whole game so that when he is on the field, he's able to play at 100%. Kamoko Toure played 20% of the snaps. 20% of the snaps. And was second on the team in sacks. Okay? With 20% of the snaps. He had a ton of quarterback pressures and hits. We'll call them assists. The pressures were where he'll get in, make the quarterback move, and then somebody else gets the sack, right?
Yeah.
Kamoko Toure had a ton of those. A lot of Kwity Paye's sacks they were cleanup sacks from Toure flushing that quarterback out of the pocket. Mm-hmm. I think Kamoko Toure would be a fantastic Leo. Fantastic. And as a matter of fact, I'm thinking that this weekend I've been asked by a few people, including Colts Freaks, which is a platform here. Just look it up online. I'm a member of them. They asked me to do a film room on the Leo position to break it down and who would be really good at it. I think I'm going to do a film room on that this weekend so that you guys can see. I think Toure would be freaking – he needs to stay healthy, right? This past season, he missed 4 games because, he had a groin injury, right? But at least it wasn't, a torn ACL or some crap like that he's had in the past. But no, I really do. I agree with you. I don't know about who all is going to come over, but to me, the most important position coach will be that defensive line coach. He's got to get that right. He's got to get a position coach that not only will get the snap percentages right, but most importantly, be able to develop the talent that we have, because I truly believe we have plenty of good talent at the defensive line position. It's just they need to be brought up and used properly.
And that's a huge thing, because if this team can get this talent, playing to a higher level and stuff, now all of a sudden it's going to be a lot harder to sit there and put double and triple teams on Defoe. You sit there and you talk about how wiped out he is. Well, even if his snap reduction doesn't go down, a massive amount, just the fact that he's not constantly looking at double and triple teams, that alone is going to give him, that extra energy, that extra whatever to get to the quarterback and stuff, let alone just the motivation of getting to the quarterback and having more opportunities, seeing those numbers that he's probably imagined, in this defense and stuff. So very excited about this hire. There are still a couple things, I sit there and I look back and I think about the game the Raiders had against the Chargers. And I remember, it was Hebert was fourth and everything. The Raiders did great getting the Chargers down to fourth down. But then, Herbert would just sit there and drop a dime for 43 yards or whatever, and it happened throughout the entire fourth quarter. So I see that and I start thinking about, oh, okay, I remember the Colts sort of having some of these problems and stuff where we just couldn't get off the field. So that is a big thing for me. And the second thing that I'm, is everywhere you look at, he's gone to, whether it's Seattle, whether it's Jacksonville, whether it's, the Chargers. My point earlier, these guys had some real dudes, on the defensive end position. And I don't know that we have that on our roster right now. Not saying that they can't be developed, but I'm telling you, for this year, I don't know that we have the dude and stuff. And are we going to find ourselves back in that spot where we don't have a guy getting 8 to 10 sacks from the edge and stuff? And then now you're putting back to the same thing. You're putting all that pressure on your secondary. So that's where it's like, I'm very interested to see who he brings in and who Ballard brings in to help assist this defense, because I do believe that we need another piece on the edge.
And that's what I've been advocating on my podcast for the last few weeks, has been, if you're not investing in a quarterback, if you're not going to go and get this big name wide receiver that everybody's talking about, please, for the love of God, go and get a stud edge rusher. There's 3 of them that I can name that would immediately make this defensive line better if you went and got one of them. I mean, everybody's known what I've said that by now, but I mean, there's not many of them, but the top 3 that filled that spot, they are very, very good. So I'm seriously hoping that if Ballard is serious about improving the pass rush, that they go and get somebody. Because, yeah, like you said, Kwity Paye, he's still a much of raw product. He got better as the year went on, but he's still not quite there yet. He's still getting a feel for the game. And Dio, jury's still out on him. He was injured for half the year. We didn't get to see the full Dio Odangbo because he was injured. I mean, we need to give him an off season to actually because he's behind everybody. He didn't have all that practice and being able to learn like Kwity was. So, jury's still out on those 2 guys. Still think they can be really good. But yeah, like you said, if you're serious about getting it better now, then you need to go and get somebody.
Here's a little information for you that might you realize Max Crosby's a vet, right? Max Crosby's been around for quite a few years. This past year is when he blew up under Gus Bradley.
Yeah.
All right. Because of the way he schemes and the way he has people playing, he blew up. He's never been a more than 10 sack guy. Generally, he's usually 8 to 12 sacks is what he generally brings. But this year, again, he only got I think 8 sacks this year. He had 35 quarterback hits though.
Absolutely.
35. He had more pressures than the entire Colts team. Okay. I mean, this guy is ridiculous. And he was not, some guy that everybody who watched football knew who he was until this year. And everybody's like, oh my God, he's in the backfield affecting the quarterback every stinking play. That was under Gus Bradley. Yannick Ngakoue, the same way. A veteran, been around, started off the Jaguars. There was always potential there, but never really, blossomed into that really fantastic. Goes to the Raiders under Gus Bradley. What happens? He starts getting that kind of stuff going on. We got guys that match talent and physical stature that he's used to having. I think Bradley is going to be fine with what we have. But I agree with you 100%. If we go out and get a stud pass rusher, I feel like after looking and really digging into the cap situation, we have money for maybe one signing, one name signing. Really that's it. One, yeah. That's it. And there are a few guys. I'm not so sure I'm a Hassan Reddick guy. All right. I'm not really big on that. I know a lot of people are. I'm not. I'd rather have a Von Miller. And I get he's an older guy, but it's going to be someone that's going to come in, help right away. You're going to, and on top of that, it's going to give your younger guys more time to develop, so I'd be okay with Von Miller. And Von's still playing at a freaking high clip. He goes over to the Rams. You've seen what the heck he's been doing over at the Rams.
He's been good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and the thing is, and I'm going to make this statement, I guess this is more of a question than a statement, but I feel like if Gus Bradley comes in this year and just keeps the status quo, the defense gets a little bit better and stuff in areas and stuff, secondary takes the next step, I'm fine with that for next year. I feel like the second year of the Gus Bradley defense, because now he would have had not 1 but 2 years with Kwity and Dio. Plus, he'll have 2 years with anybody that we get in the draft, this year. That's when I'm really looking for this defense. Because the more I dug into the Gus Bradley, because what I did, guys, was I went in and I checked a lot of the YouTube content creators. I went through the Vegas, and then I went through some of the Chargers. It's just listening to what some of those guys were saying about Gus Bradley, getting a feel from that way. And, the thing was like, to your point, Max Crosby, he wasn't getting all those pressures and stuff, but a lot of that was just a mental reboot. This defense is going to get that mental reboot. They've been hearing Eberflus for 4 years now, Baker for 2 years, constantly preaching their work. He said, Bradley said in the interview today, it's a new set of eyes. Everybody's got that clean slate. Obviously he's going to see what they put on film, but he's still going to make them come out and earn his respect. And that, to me, I think would be a motivating factor for whether it's, whether we re-sign Kamoka Toure and I'm not going to sit here and hold my breath for another year on Banogu, but if he decides to become a professional football player, or whatever, all these guys have that fresh slate. And the thing is, year one, I want to see, just don't fall off the map. Okay. Progress a little bit, but year two is where I'm really wanting to see that massive leap in this defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I agree with you. Now there's another position that's very important in Gus Bradley's scheme, and that's the safety positions, the free safety and the strong safety. Everywhere he goes, he makes these guys freaking studs, period. End of story. Okay. The Colts have got exactly the kind of safeties he wants. You go look in Seattle, they had an enforcer at strong safety, right? And they had a rangy playmaker at free safety. What do the Colts have? A stud enforcer, box safety at the strong safety position, right? And Kari Willis, who's not meant to go out there and do all this high range coverage stuff. He's meant to be in the box and help out there, maybe cover a tight end or something. But if Blackman can stay healthy, Gus Bradley's going to love him.
Oh, yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
I'm very
my goodness.
He was turning other guys into studs, so they're starting at least, really
right.
good and studly. So now where we go from there is the next question.
Yeah. And I like the cover 3 scheme idea for the safeties specifically, because you can get creative with the safeties in a cover 3 situation. Especially like you said, for Kari, it's designed for the strong safety a lot of times to come down and inside, where he makes a living on the inside of the box. And then for Blackman, it's designed for Blackman to get free reign in the back of the field. That's exactly what you want, is Blackman, who already has like 5 or 6 interceptions as a 2-year player. And given the time that he wasn't able to play, I mean, that's what you want from a ball hawking guy like a Julian Blackman. So I'm excited about that. I mean, the corners might be a different scenario. We'll have to see what they do there. But I like the safeties in this kind of scheme.
And I'll tell you what, now these corners I think are going to thrive in this, because, Bradley said one of the things I was really listening for in that presser today was wanted to hear how he was talking about the corners and stuff. And he was talking about how, yes, everybody's going to call it a cover 3 defense or whatever. But he said that a lot of what he's doing with his corners and stuff, he's putting them in more man covered, and finding more of that matching man zone type hybrid defense and stuff. And I mean, I feel like that's where Eberflus ended up at the end of the year. The Eberflus that I liked the second half of the year, where the more aggression and stuff. Now, if as long as we don't have to go and relearn that for this team, as long as he comes in and that's where we start off at, dude, home run. Okay. Now, if we go back to the heavy zone, and then I'm going to start being like, okay, what are we doing here? So yeah, that's a big thing I enjoyed hearing in that presser, was how he's treating this. It's not a cover 3 as much as that zone match concept and the hybrid, and just, it's simple, but it's still, be good at what you're really good at, and find the guys and fit it around them.
That's something that me and DeQuell talked about a lot this year. Is the zone man concept, where you're actually playing a zone concept. But in Matt Eberflus's scheme, you're sitting in the middle of your zone, looking back at the quarterback, reading his eyes and reacting. And that's all you're doing. You're just sitting there. You're letting guys flow around, and you let the quarterback determine where you're moving, right? So good quarterbacks can take you off your spot by looking you off, right? Mm-hmm. With Gus Bradley, his zone man scheme, which is what me and DeQuell have been freaking harping for all year, is they'll sit in their zone. When a guy comes into their zone, they immediately, like Velcro, attach to him. and stick with them until that person leaves their zone. Then they hand them off to the person in the next part of the zone. And then they move back, eyes solely on the quarterback, watching until someone else comes or the quarterback makes a move. That's what I like. That's more sticky. That's more of an aggressive style zone defense. And that's what I want to see. I don't want to see you sitting back there, standing there for 5 seconds doing nothing, just looking at the quarterback going, I hope he throws it in my direction. Come on now. And that's what Matt Eberflus did the majority of the time. Now, the second half of the season, I loved what Matt Eberflus did. He played a lot more man coverage, but his zone was still zone. It was still that traditional sit back watch, more of a reactionary zone, where Gus Bradley has a proactive zone where they're making things happen rather than trying to react to whatever happens to them. And that's why I think we've got the athletes to do that with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to see us use. We need to use their abilities to the best that what they could do. And being proactive is going to create turnovers, is going to create contested catches. There was so many uncontested catches against the Colts this year because of the style of zone they played. It was ridiculous, right? And then also missed tackles. I don't get me wrong, I love Kenny Moore, but when he's playing in that traditional zone defense, a guy catches a ball, starts running into your zone. It's difficult sometimes to antiquate yourself to that player to make the tackle. He missed a lot of tackles in the first 3 games and the last 2 games of the season because of that. If you're playing the sticky zone man concept, you're already on a guy and trying to contest the catch. So if he does make the catch, you can make a play on the ball, or you're already in position to tackle the guy, right?
Yeah, and somebody else I think would be really cool to see to see what they can do with him. You sat there and said, we've got the athletes. EJ Speed. I can't wait to see what he sits there and he gets his eyes and gets his, sees EJ and the gifts, because honestly, I believe the league is probably not aware of him as much as, the Colts Nation is and stuff. So the fact of waiting to see what he can do with the young man that has this skill set that EJ Speed has, I'm telling you right now, he could I'm not saying he will be Max Crosby, but he could easily fit into that guy that makes that big pop, that even year one of, okay, because he knows how to be a professional now. He understands a lot. I feel like we saw a lot of growth in where he was fitting in on the field more this year. And then, now to your point, if you sit there and you go with that zone man hybrid and stuff, it's very intriguing to see where you fit in an EJ Speed.
Yeah, I loved what I saw from EJ Speed in that Cardinals game. Oh my. I mean, again, we knew, it's great because you just said, EJ, just go out there and be you, right? Because you have the speed to be able to do things. He literally lives up to his last name. A lot of times he beats blockers to the gap that they're supposed to be blocking him in. He beats them to that. And that's why those plays, a lot of times when he's there, he is able to make things work like that because he makes things go the opposite direction of where the offense is intending it. And I love it. And Lawrence, you got me excited about the cover 3 man, the zone coverage scheme there, because again, what you were saying is when you're able to attach yourself to a guy that gets in your zone, not only does that, for a smart quarterback, you're right, they're able to pick that apart. They know. Even on a smart quarterback in that cover 3 scheme like that extra half second that quarterback is debating whether I should throw that football, that's an extra half second that defensive line can necessarily use to get an even bigger pressure on a quarterback. And everyone knows half a second in football for a quarterback's terms, that's a lot of time. So, I mean, that's great. It's awesome that, that's the kind of concept. And especially for these corners that are physical and they're guys that like to track guys like that. We saw Rock make a lot of great adjustments on that this year, especially in the Buffalo game. You saw it in the Buffalo game. He was tracking receivers all across the field, and it was really beautiful to watch. So that you're making me trend in the right direction here, Lawrence. I appreciate you.
Guys, I'm just saying. What was that? What was that? Go check out the Backroom Collection. Tito says so.
That's dope.
This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts sign pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. Well, we're 40 minutes into this live stream, guys. I want you, please, take a moment. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Come on now. If I was in your, you know what? If this was you up here and I was watching you and you're sitting here in the comments and stuff, I would smash that like button just because, I appreciate each and every one of you that are in here talking. We're going to get into the chats here in a second. Let's see here. We got okay. So there was one that I want to bring up real quick, and it was by Skylar and Kirsten, and I got to find it, and I'm going to agree with him. There it is. All right. He says, Kari is not the enforcer like he had in Cam Counselor. Laughing my ass off. Nowhere close. Not 110th of Cam. Come on.
It's 110th. 110th. I'm sorry.
Kari is the hard-hitting, downhill, strong safety is what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. That's what, when it comes to tackling and closing speed on runners, that's what Kari excels at. He's not very good in coverage. I will 100% tip my hat to that. But when it comes to tackling and closing, yes, I think Kari Willis is maybe not the same as Cam because Cam just is a different breed, but Kari fills that role and will fill it well, in my opinion. You guys have any thoughts on that?
No, I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't agree any more than, to your point, Kari is an excellent tackler. He's not one of those guys that, once he gets to the ball, that he just sort of holds them up and waits for the rest of the team to show up. No, he's going to be the guy that lays the wood. He's not, maybe he doesn't have 100% of Cam Chancellor's gifts and stuff, but who does? You sit there and look at the NFL. There's not a whole lot of Cam Chancellors out there.
All right, guys, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody's a breed like Cam Chancellor. That's a once in a generation guy. But yeah, what you were saying is basically the same thing. He's the guy that prefers to come downhill and make those tackles. We've seen him upgrade a lot in the tackling department. His rookie year, he was not very good. Second year was one of the best tackling safeties in the league. And then third year, again, he was dealing with injuries on and off this year, and I just felt like that kind of had something to do with it. Feel like getting him back full strength and then going into this scheme will help him even further into going that way. Again, we've seen Kari Willis, some of his best plays that he's made in his young career so far have been the result of him coming downfield, not going backwards. So that's exactly what you need in him.
Guys, if you have any questions or comments that you want us to make sure we get a hold of, use that link right there in the description where it says tips. All right. It'll come up. We will bring it up. I'd appreciate it so much because that actually, I get 96% of that rather than the massive amount that's taken out if you use that other one down there on the YouTube page. I don't want to bring that up too much because YouTube gets mad. Guys, there's an argument in the chat right now, and I need you guys to settle it. I'm gonna step away from it. Driggs says,
"Oh God,
Kenny has too much ego." Jake says Kenny has no ego. Driggs replies, he has huge and obvious ego. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Loyalist. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Derek, because
Well, I love this because this is classic. I'm throwing an accusation out there and I have no idea how to back it up. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing over and over again. Please explain to me where the ego is. But explain to me, what has he done that has shown me he has an ego? You said it and it's obvious, right? Well, obviously I'm not seeing it. So it's not obviously obvious. So you need to tell me what he's done that makes you say, oh, wow, he has an ego. And again, you want to tell me he's humbled by the Pro Bowl. Okay, first off, I kind of watched a little bit of the game. I don't think there's anything that went on that got him humbled. I don't know. Was he talking trash to some people, or was he, saying that I'm the best corner in the league, or what was he saying? Because I've not seen any of that. And, it's one thing to get beat in football. That's not getting your ego checked. Okay. Because last I saw, Kenny Moore doesn't talk trash to people on the internet, on the football field. I mean, he was literally just named the Walter Payton Man of the Year by the Colts. Very close to freaking winning it. I don't know. Seems to me like a guy that is given that kind of honor and a guy that has the kind of background of a Kenny Moore doesn't seem to really have an ego to me. So, again, you want to explain to me what he did that makes him have an ego? Please tell me. I'm all ears.
yeah, I mean, it must be in his celebration. Sorry, Lawrence, go ahead.
So what I'm going to say is he has as much ego as any other player in the NFL. Every player in the NFL has to have the mindset of I'm the best at my position in the entire league. You have to have that mindset. You have to have that goal set for you. All right. Kenny, not been hit to the Pro Bowl until this year. He finally got it. He got it celebrated. Did you see you guys, I'm sure each and every one of you watched the Hard Knocks where he got selected and announced by the team, and that was humbling experience for him, right?
Yes.
You could tell it. You could tell.
Mm-hmm.
And
you mean the part where he was going, "Why didn't you see that?" And all that. You mean that part? Oh, wait, no, that didn't happen. Because once again, I'll tell you right now, this one makes me salty because here's the thing, okay? There are so many of these guys that go out there and they make a play. And you want to talk about ego. Your team's getting whooped, okay? And you go out and you make a tackle. Nothing impressive. Then you sit there and you start pointing at your jersey, you back your name. No, that is not Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore sits there and gives you a little tie adjustment or something, you know what I mean? And then he goes back and play. Ego is not what a player sits there and takes an entire secondary and takes them. I mean, I understand that we had Xavier Rhodes, okay? But still, Kenny Moore was a voice in that room, a leading voice in that room. He was also one that sat there and took the guys that we were just talking about, the Kari Willises and the Julian Blackmans, and welcome to the league and explain to them how to be a professional. He's also the one that can sit there and you can take all the community work that he's done, that they've advertised or that made public or whatever. I'm telling you right now, you sit there in training camp, or you go in and you sit there and you do any digging whatsoever, and you'll find out that he does 3 times as much work for the community and people, okay, that don't sit there and doesn't need the publicity for it and stuff. Mm-hmm. So ego, I mean, I guess I don't understand the definition. Could you please give that to me first?
Okay, so there's a little something to laugh at. Okay, now I'm not laughing at you, Driggs. I'm not laughing at you. It's just a response to this. This is a good question for those, and there's 2 really good answers that comes into this. Quarterbacks don't really throw towards Kari too much. Why is that? Joe, so the receiver doesn't get knocked in the next Sunday. That's an answer. That's kind of funny.
It is an answer.
That is an answer. But Brandon has a very, very logical point here. Brandon Wood, why throw to your starting safety when right next to him is your 4th strength Sendejo sitting there? That obviously quarterbacks are going to pick on as well.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, man. That's exactly it. Now let's go up here. I do like Philip Benz. He says I like Kwity Paye, man. Just think of how many sacks he missed. I think you guys are sleeping on him. He feels as though he is a 9-sack guy next year. Let me explain. I agree with him, actually.
I do.
I
too.
really do.
Okay.
I predicted that Kwity was too raw this year to be a 10-plus sack guy. I said maybe 6 because how raw he was. You were there. Loyalist was there. We watched training camp. We saw this. He was raw. They were working on basics with him.
Yeah.
All training camp. I knew he wasn't going to get a ton of sacks this year. He's now had a full season, and he's going to get a full another training camp, hopefully without Brian Baker teaching him how to get pass rush with someone a lot better. All right. I think Kwity will probably get closer to that 9-sack margin. I do believe that. And it also depends upon snap percentage. What position is he playing? Are they going to leave him on the left end? Are they going to put, someone else at the left end? Or, it just depends upon a lot of different things. But I think that I give him time. I think that next year, I think you'll see a lot better Kwity Paye than what we saw this past season. I really, really do.
Oh, I definitely think he'll be better. I just don't know if I could see 9 sacks from him. I just don't think I could see that just yet. I said 6 to 8. I think he's going to make a little bit of a jump. I still just think he's just a tad bit too raw. I just don't know if 1 or 2 training camps is going to get him quite to that level yet. I expect the 3rd year could be something that, we see, but I don't know. Maybe he can prove me wrong. If he proves me wrong, I'll admit it. I'll come back on this stream and I'll say, I'm sorry, Kwity Paye, you proved me freaking wrong, and I'm glad you did.
The Alpha says film room on Gus due by Monday. Alpha, I'm going to be doing one on the Leo position, okay, which is a Gus thing. It's not just a Gus thing, okay. It's used by probably about 1/4 to 1/3 of the teams in the NFL use the Leo now, as opposed to what it used to be, where there wasn't a position like that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but now there is. So I will be getting to that pretty soon. Truett says that the Pro Bowl, that was trash. It's because the Pro Bowl's not meant for the fans.
Yeah.
It's meant for the players.
Yeah.
It is a reward for the players to bring their families and go out and enjoy themselves for having a good season and being recognized by their peers and their fans. It's not meant for us. I'm just letting you know. All right.
That's what the skills challenges and all that's for.
Yeah, the skills challenges and even the players. Like I was talking to DeQuell. He's like, this is more for the players to sit back, relax, enjoy themselves after a really, really difficult season, after they were recognized by their peers and their fans for having a good season. And it's something that they absolutely do not take for granted, and they love it very much. But they can't go out there and play full tilt. You can't expect them to go out there and play full tilt and get hurt in a meaningless game.
Exactly.
Right?
How would anybody here feel if we found out that Quentin Nelson or Kenny Moore, God forbid, multiple players end up getting injuries in a game? Or what is it, 50,000 to the losers and 100,000 for the winners or something? Mm-hmm. Okay, so these guys aren't even making a standard paycheck for what they're used to getting paid to play in these games and stuff. So it's just, I understand what fans want. I mean, we've talked in our Discord, by the way, guys, check out our Discord. These are type of conversations we have. But we were sitting there talking about how you could take the Pro Bowl and take like the final 4 teams, the worst 4 teams in the league, and let them play for position in the first 4 spots in the draft or something, if people are really that worried about finding meaningful football, because you're not going to get the best players in the league willing to jeopardize, an entire season, maybe even, like a Chris Godwin situation where you're in a contract year or something. You're not going to want to sit there and risk your future. Maybe I'm wrong. Me personally, I wouldn't want to risk my future Let's put it that way. Not for a a fun experience.
Yeah, exactly. I just dropped the link to the Discord in the chat right there. If you want to come to the Colts Law Discord, I'm warning you, it's not just Colts fans. We have all sorts of NFL fans. We go in there, we talk football, we talk basketball, we talk hockey, right? A lot of hockey in there and stuff of that nature. Just general, just sports fans go in, chat. It's just a fun place to hang out. People go in there, watch streams and chat and just hang out together. So it's really fun. And plus you get a lot of the lowdown of stuff that I'm doing and updating and uploading and whatever. So guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. Please don't forget to hit that like button. We are at that point. Derek, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking time out, coming on here and spending time with us, man. I know I've been on your show a few times. Haven't really. You pointed it out to me last week. Hey, you ain't invited me on, dude. What's up with that shit?
I didn't
All
quite
right.
Hey,
So-
man, I appreciate you having me on, though, man. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy talking football with you. You're one of the few people that I can talk football with, have disagreements with at the end of the day, but you still always know your stuff, and you don't ever go to that level that I get from some other people. So I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's not a problem. Man, opinions are like, well, I'm not going to go there.
Opinions
Yeah,
are made to be
we're trying
shaped
to
and formed,
keep
right?
them,
Isn't that what you were going to say?
central here, guys. Okay?
Everybody's allowed to have an opinion. It's a difference between being opinionated and being a troll. Okay.
Am I allowed to curse here real quick?
As long as it's not a hard curse.
Okay. Okay. Well, I said a tweet earlier. Okay. There's a difference between having a difference of opinion and mentioning it and making yourself look like an ass. People. Yeah. There really is. There's an easy way to say, hey, I disagree with you. Here's why. Instead of saying, you're freaking dumb, man. How could you even possibly say that? Like, yeah, you get to the name calling and then you instantly lose all credibility in your argument. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works, man. If you have a legitimate argument with real facts to back it up, then you don't have to resort to calling someone else a name. So, guys, that's just Twitter. I mean, come on now. We all
I know, right? Yeah, we got to stay away from the Twitter trolls. Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on. Guys, appreciate each and every one of you. I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. With us today was Derek Larger. And until next time, as usual, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.